Hey guys, it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/TreeLaw. Help. A car hit one of my pine trees, and it's probably gonna die. I'm in West Virginia. Does anyone here work in tree law there? Or know where I can get the info? I'm sad, it's like 60 plus years old and has a really cool fork where my pick ends. It won't let me upload it though. I'd go arborist before lawyer. They may be able to save your tree. Trees are pretty good at compartmentalizing vehicular impacts at the base of the tree. Pines can do really well in this instance, given their heavy sap flow. A lot of it comes down to how large the impact zone is and how much bark was lost. If I can see a photo, I can do my best to give you my thoughts based on that. I'm sorry, the best advice I can give you is to ask a lawyer. The others in this thread have good ideas that should be pretty good for helping you, but I would like to ask if you have any more information on the person who hit your tree. It depends on the laws there, but I'm pretty certain that trees are considered property, so if you need to, you could take legal action. I did not know that trees were good at compartmentalizing vehicular impacts. That is interesting. I have a tree actually in my backyard that we were like, the branches and everything were like coming down on stuff and half of it was like dead. So they basically like broke the tree apart. I don't know how to explain this any better. And the trunk is still there, but like it's not a stump. Like it's still, it goes up high. So it actually has grown like green leafy stuff all up towards the top of it. So I guess it wasn't completely dead, clearly. It's just really weird because it's like this huge trunk part and then just like a bunch of little, like, I don't know, it's like decorated on top with its own like leaves and stuff. It's I think it's called a mulberry tree. I think that's what it is. That was not relevant, but there you go. Not all tree/neighbor interactions are negative. My neighbors built their new fence around the trees on their property. That fence isn't gonna last long as the tree grows bigger. It'll turn into a hanging fence. Contractors hate this one trick that saves you money. I mean, can't they just keep trimming the hole wider and readjusting it over time? The tree does part of the fence's work for them, lol. The tree will invoice them later. People don't realize how fast trees grow. This fence has a season of looking great. Or maybe after a stiff breeze. 10 out of 10 neighbor. My landlord has done a similar thing for our neighbors, but this one looks much nicer than ours. Question: assuming that fence is on the property line, whose responsibility are the branches on this side of the fence? Okay, but that was a pretty cool looking fence. I've never seen that before, but yeah, I do wonder how long it's gonna look nice, and I'm really concerned for the feasibility of that long term. Tree on property line behind neighbor fence, New York. Hi all, I live in New York and bought my home in December of 2018. A few years ago, 2 owners ago, the owner went into debt and the property was foreclosed. I suspect this owner had a love for trees and planted trees on all the property lines. My good neighbor helped me remove 12 small dead ash trees, not financially, but cutting trees down that we both wanted removed. I paid for stump removals and agreed no tall trees. Very chill neighbor, both of us guided by common sense and agreed to planting a row of lilacs closer into my property. The other neighbor, the bad neighbor, upon seeing the dead ash trees removed and another 2 dead trees in the front removed, decides to say that the tree on the property line is mine and implies I will be paying for it and that it must be removed soon. The tree, as far as I can tell, has a trunk that is probably on both sides, but is behind his fence that precedes my living there for years. He moved in about 15 years ago. Do I really own a tree that I cannot access behind a fence? A fence does not necessarily define the property line. A neighbor doesn't tell you what to do with your property. So there's no squatters' rights in New York? Best option that I can think of is continue to agree to nothing/concede nothing, and in the meantime have the land plots surveyed. 3 scenarios. 1, it's not my property and I inform him of the survey results. 2, tree is on both and logically costs are divided in some way. Discuss moving fencing back, inform him of survey results. 3. Trees on my property, discuss moving fence back, inform him of survey results. Again, this neighbor is a technical guy. If you have a code/law I can try to wrap my head around, would be greatly appreciated. You're looking for adverse possession. If it's yours, consider asking for compensation if you don't care if it goes. If it's shared, you can give him permission to fell the tree, but you don't have to pay for anything. Also, consider using this as an opportunity to improve your relationship with your neighbor rather than degrade it. And yeah, get a survey and have them put in survey markers if they aren't already there to help make your case. This is the best advice you're going to get. I would only add that you should probably check your closing documents. You might already have a survey. Likely has a boundary survey from the purchase, but they are useless for his needs. Both plat and boundary surveys are inadmissible as evidence. Plat can be up to 30 feet off, boundary up to 3 feet. For evidence use, you need an ALTA survey. Its maximum deviation is 2 centimeters plus 1 part per 50 million. As an example, across a 15-mile long line, the surveyed endpoint cannot be more than 51 inches off from the actual endpoint. Across a typical house plot size lot, the surveyed points will be within an inch or two of actual guaranteed. Also, most ALTA surveyors know why you're paying extra for their service and will agree to being used as an expert in a court case and to testifying. ALTA generally supersedes other surveys due to its guaranteed accuracy, so if the neighbors on 5 sides have boundary or plat surveys and you have an ALTA, these shared borders will follow your ALTA and not their surveys no matter what the outcome shows. Refer to your Municode for the city you're in. I attached the link. Should have all the ordinances going over what you should have to follow for tree protection and removal. Reach out to an arborist if need be if the language becomes technical. Your city might have an arborist that can assist you with questions like this too. I remember reading a case where the trunk of a tree was on both property lines and it was determined the tree would need to be cared for by both property owners. Okay, not gonna lie, I think the most that I've learned out of r/TreeLaw is the importance of this ALTA or whatever, survey and like how accurate it is. Like, I don't know, but if I ever need my stuff surveyed, I guess I gotta go do that. The truth of TreeLaw. Did you love your trees, or were you just spiteful, or a little bit of both? 49 indicated they loved their trees, 12 indicated they were just spiteful, and 73 indicated a little bit of both. Tree on property is dead and hangs over my house and car. So I just bought a new house in Arkansas. The lot beside mine is owned by a church that is about 100 yards behind my house. There's a large tree on it, possibly oak, correct me if I'm wrong, that appears to be dead and has some limbs that hang over my house and my truck. My worry is that the limbs will break off and hit my truck, or possibly the whole tree fall over. The tree sits in an area that is always underwater, so the ground is very soft, which is why I think there is a possibility that the tree could fall over. Would the church be responsible for cutting the limbs back, and if so, how do I go about getting them to? Also, the lot that the tree is on is for sale. Not sure if that matters, but I thought it would not hurt to include it. That is one dead tree. If you're sure the trunk is over the property line and on their property, send the tree's owner certified mail stating your concern and asking them to take the tree down. This puts the responsibility for damage on them as an issue of neglect rather than being an act of God, as in the case of a healthy and stable tree. If it's their tree, you can't legally take it down, but they absolutely need to, and soon, because dead trees are particularly dangerous trees. OTOH, if the property line runs through any part of the trunk, you're a half owner and can take it down yourself. Send them a bill for their half of the job. If you're unsure exactly where the property line is in relation to the tree's base, you'll need to locate the property survey pins with a metal detector or hire a surveyor to locate them for you. Thanks for the advice. The property line is about 6 inches left of the fence near the back of the house, so it's definitely off of my property. Is there liability then? This is why you want to send that certified letter. If the tree were healthy and it fell over onto your property, every bit of it that crossed the property line is yours to clean up, and the damage is yours to pay for since it's considered an act of God legally and for insurance purposes. Once you send that letter saying it's dead and dangerous, however, it's completely on them. The certified letter is your proof of proper notification. Good luck. Hopefully they'll do the right thing sooner than later. When I first moved into my place, I had a 70-foot hickory tree that I ignored for a couple of months. Then one day while I was eating dinner, down it came. No wind, no rain, it just fell over. I found out later that when a tree dies, it becomes extremely brittle very quickly, roots included, since the wood is no longer taking in nutrients and moisture. How do you argue an act of God with a church? Seems kinda one-sided. God helps those who help themselves by removing dead trees threatening a neighbor. Leviticus 4:18. Step 1 would always be call the church, let them know of the issue, and ask them to remove it. Step 2, if they refuse to remove it, is to call the arborist, get a determination in writing, then send them a certified letter from a lawyer saying that it's notice of a nuisance and they'd be liable for any damage. Send a letter to the realtor as well so that they are required to report to any prospective buyers the hazard that it poses. You could also cut down any limbs on your side of the property line, but the arborist will be able to determine if that's a course you want to take. It wouldn't necessarily help if the tree falls over though. I just left them a voicemail earlier today, so we will see where that goes. Keep in mind that if there's a stay-at-home order in your area, people/organizations may not be checking voicemail. They should be, but some people, oops, just realized that includes myself, forget to. If they have an email, I'd try that as well. Plus, it never hurts to have a paper trail. Good idea. Did not think of that. I haven't read all the comments, but as a practicing arborist, I've learned that you actually have a right to trim the branches that are hanging over your property. Doing so could eliminate the threat to your house/vehicles and could shift the weight away from your property if the tree were to fall completely. Just a thought if you're able to find an arborist in your area willing to do that. Thanks. Probably going to do that. That's also assuming your state laws allow for that. Sorry, forgot to mention I live in Louisiana. I don't know how our laws compare to other states in this matter. Not gonna lie, Leviticus sounds like a book of the Bible that someone made up that everyone on r/TreeLaw should be reading and quoting. I don't know, it's just really funny that they did it that way. Anyway, I would feel kind of funny like discussing something being an act of God because that is technically legal jargon. Which is weird, when you're talking about a church too. It's just kind of funny. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really quickly, I'd like to thank my patrons. Up on the screen, you should see my face palmers and my crazy K's. Thank you all so much for supporting me in that way. If you're interested in becoming a patron, checking out the original post from today's video, or sending me an email for possible inclusion in a future video, all of that is in the description box, so be sure to check it out. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye! Thank you.